On Saturday, in front of the glitterati of the American music industry, Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco exchanged vows at a vast mansion in the gorgeous hills of Santa Barbara, California. During 3 days of festivities, Gomez and Blanco starred in their own American fairy tale in front of celebrities like Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, Paris Hilton, Zoe Saldana, Cara Delevingne, and others. This story is now being teased to us through a series of artistic yet evasive social media posts. So far, so typical for a high-profile wedding. However, it may come as a surprise that Gomez looked to Ralph Lauren to decide who would dress for the occasion. In terms of the singer-turned-actress's attire, Lauren is undoubtedly nothing new. She wore a series of eye-catching gowns from the brand during the 2024 awards season, culminating in a shimmering pink beaded gown that glowed on the Oscar red carpet in March 2025. However, many people still equate America's top seamstress with polo shirts, ties, and fitted sportswear, rather than elegant bridal gowns. Additionally, not all of his recent public initiatives have landed as smoothly, even if his most recent collection at New York Fashion Week was favorably appreciated. The designer received harsh criticism for his Olympic Team USA uniforms just last year. According to one review, the clothes look less like clothes that use elements of the flag and instead like flags cut into the shape of outfits. But if Gomez's decision is evidence of anything, it's that Lauren, in the latter stages of his career, has unexpectedly taken on the coveted role of American wedding dress designer after pursuing both wide brand appeal and a place in the language of international high fashion. Without even a wedding line of his own, the Bronx youngster has become the face of this most-watched industry, no longer overshadowed by the dominance of celebrities like Oscar de la Renta, Marchesa, and Vera Wang. Gomez quickly shared a photo of herself on her wedding day, wearing the first of 4 custom Lauren outfits, but specifics are still being worked out. My bride floated down the aisle towards me in her ivory halter-neck gown with a delicate yet dramatic lace overlay that swept to the floor, Blanco wrote on Instagram, referring to his bride as a, quote, real-life Disney princess, unquote. Gomez's longtime stylist, Renato Campora, had fashioned her hair into an old Hollywood-style bob with a deep side part, and a billowing lace veil topped the otherworldly appearance. With lace that only the most talented craftspeople can create, we can only imagine the thousands of hours that went into making this gown. The 85-year-old designer, who reputedly never learned to sketch, also created a special design for the 33-year-old bride, a shimmering silk evening gown with a halter neck, which is obviously Gomez's favorite silhouette. This one-of-a-kind handcrafted dress, with its gently gathered bodice ending in a fluttering ruffle collar, perfectly captured the dreamlike haze that Gomez obviously wanted to envelop her wedding weekend in. The fact that Lauren has been selective, rather than letting everyone peruse his masterpieces in his Madison Avenue residence, may be a contributing factor in his appeal to his A-list customers. He has taken great care in selecting which famous brides will benefit from a little of his Americana magic. Jennifer Lopez wore a borrowed dress from an old movie as she married Ben Affleck in a low-key ceremony in a Las Vegas wedding chapel in July 2022. However, she wore at least 3 Lauren gowns when she married him again at his Georgia farm a month later. She came down the aisle wearing an ivory silk turtleneck column dress with a fishtail train, which was constructed from 500 meters of cloth cut into ruffles and almost 1,000 handkerchiefs. Her prominence as an industry-wide phenomenon and as someone who Lauren thought personified the spirit of his startup to giant company were marked by the 2 more dresses that completed her wedding outfit, which had equally sensual silhouettes. Lily, Phil Collins' daughter and wunderkind Emily in Paris star, hired the designer a year prior, in September 2021, to construct her fairy tale wedding gown for her union with director Charlie McDowell. He complied by wearing a striking lace dress with a matching lace hooded cape on top. He dressed up President Joe Biden's granddaughter Naomi for the first White House wedding since Tricia Nixon's marriage in 1971. With a more traditional interpretation than the sequin-adorned translucent coat dress the designer created for Priyanka Chopra when she married Nick Jonas in 2018, the excessive amount of lace that had been the defining feature of Colin's gown reappeared in Biden's wedding. Given that designers like Wang, Armani, De La Renta, and Calvin Klein have experimented with wedding attire, it may be easy to conclude that Lauren was inspired to enter this market. But I think the roots are much closer to home. Lauren's family life is largely responsible for his success as a man and as a brand. This is also true of his foray into bridal couture. The designer and his wife, Ricky, were anticipating the weddings of their daughter Dylan, a scion of the candy store, and their son David, an executive at Ralph Lauren. In regard to his only daughter's silk tulle busket jack dress, which hung to her curves and burst into a dramatic fishtail train, the designers remarked, "I had to do something that was better than ever before." Lauren's dress and the designer's first wedding gown appear strikingly the same. In a ceremony at the designer's Colorado ranch 3 months after Dylan's June 2011 wedding, daughter-in-law Lauren approached her husband wearing a flowing, lace-covered, high-necked gown that he had made for her. The events were a turning point in Lauren's remarkable career, akin to a kingly present to his 2 selected princesses. Because after experimenting with almost every fashion trend, the designer has finally persuaded skeptics that Ralph Lauren is much more than just a polo shirt by creating famous wedding dresses like Gomez's.